The red dust of Vexus coated Alara's lungs like a second skin. 17 cycles of breathing it, working in it, sleeping in it. Her entire existence measured in the rust-colored particles that stained everything in the mining colonies. She was third-generation property of the Taurian Empire, born with identification markings etched into her blue-tinged skin, designating her as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. Section Delta, increase extraction by 30% or rations will be halved. The automated announcement blared through the cavernous mine shaft. Alara exchanged glances with her friend Tauren, his 4 eyes blinking in resigned exhaustion. They knew better than to speak. The Taurian overseers, with their hulking frames and pronged energy staffs, were always watching, always waiting for an excuse. "My grandmother used to say we weren't always like this," Tauren whispered when the nearest overseer moved to harass another group. "That our people once sailed the stars freely." Alara kept her head down, pickaxe striking the glittering veins of quintessence, the energy source that powered the Taurian war fleet. "And mine said wishing for rain in hell only makes the thirst worse," she murmured. "Focus on surviving today, Tauren." The whistle signaling the end of their 18-hour shift finally sounded. Alara's muscles screamed as she trudged with hundreds of other slaves toward the communal barracks, windowless prefabricated structures designed to house 5 times more bodies than should be possible. It was during the evening meal, a gray protein paste that tasted of chemicals, that the commotion started. Guards shouting, energy weapons discharging. All slaves were ordered to the central yard for an educational demonstration. The night air was cold on Alara's skin as she huddled with the others in formation. The Taurian commander Vexter, his ceremonial armor gleaming under the harsh floodlights, paced before a new prisoner. "Behold," Vexter's voice was amplified across the yard. "A human operative from the Coalition. These are the fools who think they can challenge Taurian dominance." Alara had never seen a human before, only heard stories of the distant species that resisted Taurian expansion. This one stood tall despite his bindings, his skin a warm brown and unmarked by Taurian slave brands. His eyes, only 2, how strange, burned with a defiance that made Alara want to look away. No one looked at the Taurians like that, no one who wanted to live. "This human saboteur will work among you until his execution date, as an example of coalition weakness," Vexter continued. "Should any of you assist him or engage in seditious conversation, your entire barracks will be purged." The human Kieran, they called him, was assigned to Alara's mining section. For 3 days he worked in silence, yet something about him unsettled the usual rhythm of despair. He did not hunch his shoulders as slaves learned to do. His movements, though hampered by heavier shackles than most wore, carried purpose. On the 4th day, as they worked an isolated tunnel, Kieran spoke to her directly. "You're different from the others," he said, his voice low but unwavering. "You still look up sometimes." Alara nearly dropped her tool, terrified of being overheard. "Be quiet," she hissed. "They'll kill us both." Kieran's eyes held hers. "They're already killing you, just slowly enough that you've accepted it." "This is all there is," she replied, the mantra ingrained since birth. "No," Kieran said, a smile breaking across his face like sunrise, something Alara rarely saw in the mines. "This is just where we start changing everything." His words should have frightened her. Instead, something long dormant stirred in Alara's chest, a dangerous sensation she couldn't name. Later, she would recognize it as the first faint pulse of hope. 3 weeks passed since Kieran's arrival, and something had changed in the rhythm of Delta Section. It was subtle, a straighter spine here, a whispered conversation there, quick glances exchanged during the overseer's patrols. Alara found herself gravitating toward the human during their brief rest periods, drawn to his quiet strength. "How do you do it?" she asked one evening, huddled in the shadow of a massive excavator. "How do you stand so tall when they're designed to break us?" Kieran's eyes scanned the perimeter before answering. "Freedom isn't just physical, Alara, it starts here." He tapped his temple. "They can chain your body, but your mind belongs to you." "Not ours," she countered. "We've been conditioned since birth. The punishment chambers reprogram any dissident thoughts." "Yet you're here questioning." His hand brushed hers, brief, electric. "That's the first step." Their meetings became more frequent, more deliberate. Kieran taught her small acts of resistance, work slowdowns that appeared accidental, ways to communicate covertly, methods to undermine Taurian technology with minimal sabotage. With each lesson, something inside Alara awakened. One night, as they shared stolen moments in a maintenance tunnel, Kieran explained the Coalition's fight against Taurian expansion. Your people, the Nyx, were once respected traders throughout 3 systems, he told her. The Taurians didn't just enslave you, they erased your history. Why risk everything to tell me this? She asked. His gaze held hers in the dim light. Because in all my missions, I've never met anyone who learned so quickly or cared so deeply. His hand found her face, thumb tracing the markings on her cheek. You remind me what we're fighting for. The kiss that followed broke something fundamental in Alara's world, the barrier between what was and what could be. His lips against hers felt like revolution itself. They began recruiting others, carefully, selectively. Torin joined first, then Myra from processing, then Dak from engineering. Each new member learned basic sabotage techniques and, more importantly, the forbidden history of their people. Their resistance was small. Misaligned machinery that slowed production, corrupted data reports, strategic equipment failures. But with each success, confidence grew among their small circle. The Taurians maintain control through isolation, Kieran explained during a secret meeting. They want you to believe you're alone, that resistance is impossible. But we're not alone, Alara added with newfound authority. There are thousands of us in this facility alone. The danger grew alongside their network. Commander Vexter increased random inspections, and punishment details became more frequent. Surveillance drones hovered longer over work areas. One evening, as Alara and Kieran shared a rare moment of intimacy in an abandoned storage chamber, their hands exploring each other in the darkness, breathing sinking as their bodies pressed together, the facility alarms blared. Security breach in Sector 4, the automated system announced. They separated instantly, hearts pounding. That's where Torin was disabling the secondary sensor array, Alara whispered. Kieran's expression darkened. We need to move now. They barely made it back to their barracks before the lockdown. The next morning, Torin was absent from roll call. The message was delivered when the overseers dragged him into the yard, his body battered but conscious. This worker was caught tampering with Imperial property, Vexter announced to the assembled slaves. The human prisoner has been spreading sedition. His cold eyes scanned the crowd. The human will be publicly executed in 3 days. Until his conspirators confess, daily rations will be reduced by half. As they led Kieran away in specialized restraints, his eyes found Alara's in the crowd. No words passed between them, but his message was clear. This isn't over. That night, huddled with their small resistance cell, Alara made her decision. We're not waiting for them to kill him, she said firmly. We're breaking him out, and we're starting the rebellion now. Myra's eyes widened. That's suicide. No, Alara replied, the plan crystallizing in her mind. It's survival. Kieran showed us the truth. We outnumber them. We've just forgotten how to fight. As the others looked to her, some frightened, some resolute, Alara felt the weight of leadership settling onto her shoulders. 3 days to plan the impossible. 3 days to transform from slaves to revolutionaries. 3 days to save the man who had awakened her heart and her people's future. The execution platform gleamed under Vexus's twin suns, a polished metal stage for Taurian justice erected in the central yard. Guards positioned themselves strategically throughout the crowd of slaves forced to witness the spectacle. Commander Vexter had ordered attendance from all sections, a demonstration of imperial power designed to extinguish any flicker of rebellion. Alara stood with her face carefully blank, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Around her, positioned according to their meticulous plan, were 26 members of their nascent resistance. Each carried hidden implements, tools turned weapons, makeshift communication devices, access codes extracted from careless guards. Brothers and sisters of the glorious empire, Vexter's voice boomed across the assembly. Today we demonstrate the consequence of defiance. 4 guards escorted Kieran onto the platform. Despite 3 days in the isolation chambers, he walked with dignity. His face was bruised, one eye swollen shut, but his posture remained unbowed. When his gaze swept the crowd, it lingered momentarily on Alara, no recognition betrayed in his expression, but she felt the connection like a physical touch. The human terrorist will speak his crimes before punishment, Vexter announced, a traditional humiliation before execution. When the voice amplifier was thrust before him, Kieran spoke clearly. My crime was telling the truth to people worthy of freedom. The first signal. Alara touched the small transmitter hidden in her palm. Across the facility, DAC activated the power grid disruption they had prepared. Vexter raised his ceremonial execution staff for crimes against the Taurian Empire. The lights failed. Emergency systems sputtered. In the momentary darkness and confusion, Alara's team moved with practiced precision. Myra and her technical unit disabled the perimeter sensors. Torin's group targeted the armory guards. Alara herself, with 3 others, rushed the platform. The clash was brutal and swift. Alara took a glancing blow from an energy staff that seared across her shoulder, but adrenaline pushed her through the pain. She reached Kieran as he was already fighting one guard despite his restraints. A security key stolen days earlier released his bindings. Right on time, he said, a fierce grin breaking through the blood on his face. Save the charm for when we're free, she replied, tossing him a weapon. The rebellion erupted like wildfire. Prepared slaves in multiple sections seized control of key facilities. The Taurians, never expecting coordinated resistance, struggled to respond to simultaneous uprisings. Their superior weaponry was countered by the slaves' numbers and intimate knowledge of the facility's operations. Alara and Kieran fought their way to the communications center, where DAC had established control. Sections 2 and 3 are secured, he reported. Mining Complex East is under worker control, but they've called for reinforcements from the orbital station. We need to broadcast to the other labor camps, Alara decided. Show them it's possible. Kieran worked with Myra to bypass the security protocols, while Alara organized defense teams. When the system finally yielded access, Alara stepped before the facility-wide transmission unit. To all those enslaved by the Taurian Empire, she began, her voice growing stronger with each word. I am Alara of the Nyx. All my life I was told freedom was impossible. Today we prove that lie. Rise up, take control. We are not alone. The response came faster than anyone anticipated. Within hours, reports flooded in of uprisings in neighboring facilities. The Taurians, facing coordinated rebellion across multiple sectors, fell back to defensive positions. That night in a secured command center that had been an overseer's quarters, Alara and Kieran finally had a moment alone. Their victory was precarious, the fight far from over, but they had seized the impossible, a foothold of freedom. You were magnificent, Kieran said, gently treating the burn on her shoulder. I had a good teacher. She winced as he applied the stolen medical salve. No, he countered. You had the spirit all along, I just helped you find it. When they kissed this time, it wasn't stolen or secretive. It was a declaration, passionate and urgent. Their bodies pressed together with newfound purpose, hands exploring with both tenderness and desperation. In the shadow of battle, with the taste of freedom still fresh, they found a different kind of revolution in each other's arms. Later, as they lay together on the commander's requisitioned bed, Kieran traced the slave markings on her blue skin. When this is over, he whispered, these will be badges of honor, symbols of those who fought back. Alara's fingers interlaced with his. And when will it be over? The facility alarms suddenly blared, proximity warnings. On the security monitors, Taurian warships descended from orbit. Kieran met her eyes, determination replacing tenderness. When every chain is broken,